So Mark Zuckerberg has successfully bribed Donald Trump. So the Zuck's political connections clearly have paid off, as Meta has only had to pay $450 million in an FTC antitrust case that they were asking a massive $30 billion. $450 million out of 30 billion is a 97% discount. I don't think you can beat that. So the case was in response to Meta buying and freezing out small startups to choke competition. Basically, not basically, this it's a fact that Facebook is operating as a monopoly right now. Any antitrust law they're guilty of, which Lena Khan, who was the head of the FTC over the past 4 years, that Trump fired, mind you, went after them for. Lena Khan, who was one of the few truly great things to come out of the Biden administration, she led an aggressive fight against big tech and monopolies. So it makes sense that we saw such a big shift with big tech going for Trump in 2024. We actually have a head of the FTC that's not a hack, actually, standing up for values against monopolies, free trade, all of that. And Trump fired her, of course. Which I will say, you have people like Steve Bannon, who I do respect. I'll say that outright. I respect Steve Bannon. I think he's a very smart mind, and he's been very high on Lena Khan. And how can't you? These conservatives claim to be against big tech, social media. They say there's a war on free speech, all of that. But they're complete hacks for him, or at least the Trump administration is, because you know, he wants money. He's opened the bribes. It's no secret. He's opened the bribes. And this story shows it. So yeah, we have Lena Khan going after Facebook for antitrust policies, seeking $30 billion, and they wound up only paying $450 million. How do you think that happened? Well, let's get into it. As it's being reported in late May, that Zuckerberg called the Federal Trade Commission with an offer to pay just $450 million to settle the long-running antitrust case that they, like I said, were initially asking $30 billion. That's a 97% discount from the initial $37 billion, and Lena Khan called it, rightfully so, as delusional. However, despite the insanity of a 97% discount, it was said by people close to the matter that Zuckerberg was confident that Trump would back him up. Now, why would Trump back up Zuckerberg, his supposed enemy that cost him 2020, according to Trump? Why would he give him a 97% discount? Well, let's get into it. So this came after Zuckerberg, both publicly, of course, and financially in 2024, supported Donald Trump. He would donate to the inauguration to the tune of, I believe, $1 million to the inauguration alone, along with settling a $25 million lawsuit with Trump and Meta shortly after Trump was elected. Now, geez, they've been fighting this fight for 4 years. They've been in a case with Trump himself. We're not talking about the $30 billion to $450 billion antitrust case. We're talking since 2020, Trump and Meta have been in a case over Trump getting temporarily suspended. And it wasn't until after Trump was elected that they settled and gave Trump $25 million for it. It's the same thing that Elon Musk and Twitter did. They also had a lawsuit because of the ban or suspension. And after Trump was elected, what do you know? They settle it and give him a nice fat check. And what did they get for that? They get 97% discounts on antitrust cases with the FTC. But it doesn't just stop there. It doesn't just stop there with the financial and support for his campaign. So Zuckerberg and his wife also hired a Republican strategist to help improve his relationship with Trump and the GOP. You you cannot make this stuff up. I'm gonna say it one more time. Mark Zuckerberg hired a Republican strategist, basically a Republican coach, to teach him how to become friends and close to Donald Trump and the conservative party. And guess what? It worked. As we see now, they're only having to pay less than half a billion for a $30 billion lawsuit that they were dead to rights on. They were dead to rights on. They were buying WhatsApp. They were buying Instagram. This is clear monopolistic standards. They wanted to buy Snapchat. They couldn't get Snapchat. And yeah, we finally get the head of the FTC that actually has some balls. And yeah, she gets fired and they get off scot free. It's really the story of the Trump administration. Pay to win, oligarchy, all of that, returning Russia to America, America to Russia, whichever way you say it. So about this deal that Lena Khan started, led, and was on the precipice of winning, now that it's over with only a $450 million fine being paid, Lena Khan said about the deal. Get this here. So Lena Khan, as you see there, she said about the deal, quote, Mark bought his way out of competing, so I'm not surprised that he thinks he can buy his way out of law enforcement too. His proposed remedy, like his market strategy, is let my illegal monopoly keep monopolizing. And that was very well said by Miss Khan herself. And yeah, it's nothing new of Trump being bought off by billionaire oligarchs to not face regulation, any of that. Trump being bribed successfully by billionaires is nothing new. As we see here, we got Justin Sun. He's a crypto billionaire investigated on civil fraud charges. In the meantime, after he was being investigated for those civil fraud charges, he bought over $75 million in Trump crypto tokens. And he also became an official advisor to Trump on crypto. And what do you know? It was announced by the FTC that the charges were dropped after Trump was inaugurated. I guess there's no connection there. Just, long-standing case. He donates or he buys $75 million with the Trump crypto, and the cases are dropped. I guess that's sure coincidence, right, guys? The deep state, of course. And it doesn't stop there. You got Coinbase, one of the largest crypto exchange giants. They were being sued by the SEC for security violations. In the meantime, they gave $75 million, which it seems to be the price right there. You see those two stories back to back. It seems $75 million is one of the main price points for Trump, I guess. They donated $75 million to pro-Trump PACs. They donated $1 million to the Trump inauguration. They hosted the Trump crypto ball the night before he was inaugurated, where they launched the Trump meme coin, where if you forgot about the Trump meme coin, it's just a meme coin that he scammed his own supporters out of billions of dollars the night before he was elected. This type of grifting, this type of hackery, we've really never seen before. It's a disgrace. It's right in front of us. Not to mention, like I said, Coinbase did all those things, and just like Justin Sun, it was announced by the CEO listed there, shown there, that it was the SEC dropped all charges without comment. So they had this case going for years after Coinbase, and they dropped it. Not only did they drop it, but they dropped it without comment. Only the CEO of Coinbase announced it because the SEC had no comment. I guess they got some new information, supposedly. Oh, these crimes are no longer crimes. They donated $75 million. When there's truly this much blatant corruption so early into an administration, it truly shows how invincible Trump sees himself as. And it's only horrifying to imagine what he has in store, because he truly feels fearless. And you can't blame him. All his charges were dropped. He's the president of the United States. He's taking open bribes in the broad daylight, and nobody has anything to say about it. So I can't blame him, but I will say it is horrifying to imagine what we have in store for us.